Welcome to WRNC, where tourists meet history, culture, and the people who live it every day. This is episode 1 of 4-part series on tourism in Normandy, a region known for its history, its landscapes, and the millions of people who visit it every year. From world-famous landmarks to small local towns, tourism shapes life here in ways that aren't always obvious. So in this series, we are asking some simple questions that lead us down some unexpected paths. What does it mean to visit a place like Normandy? Who benefits from tourism and who doesn't? And where do we draw the line between remembering history and selling it? For our first episode, we are looking at something that defined this region like nothing else, D-Day tourism. We will look at it from two very different angles, and that's where it gets interesting because there is rarely just one side to the history. This is WRNC.
So 80 years ago, men died on these beaches. 19-year-old boys, far from home, stormed the shores of Normandy so that Europe could be free. Today, you can buy their story on a fridge magnet, a snow globe, or a bottle of D-Day wine. And that forces us to look at an uncomfortable truth. How do you balance genuine remembrance with the commercial reality of tourism? Or should I say, straight-up capitalism?
That is the question we're asking today on WRNC. Welcome to both of you. I'm Anthonin.
And I'm Caroline, and let's just say we're coming at this from two different sides.
Okay, let's set the scene. Every year, around 3 million tourists visit the D-Day landing sites in Normandy. That makes it one of the most visited war memorial sites in the entire world. We're talking about Omaha Beach, Utah Beach, the American Cemetery at Colville-sur-Mer, and of course, the Memorial de Caen, right here in the city of Caen.
And the numbers keep growing. Since the 80th anniversary in June 2024, visitor numbers have hit record highs. Tour buses, school groups, American veterans, tourists from all around the world. Normandy attracts everyone. And the region earns roughly 600 million euros per year from its tourism.
Millions of people and hundreds of millions of euros. But behind those massive numbers lies a real question. Is all of this actually a good thing?
All right, I'll jump into the deep end first, and I'm going to defend D-Day tourism. So hear me out. My first point is simple. Tourism keeps the memory alive. Without visitors, without the global interest, these sites eventually fade into the landscape. When someone walks on Omaha Beach, reads a specific name on a memorial wall, or spends an afternoon at the Memorial de Caen, they don't just leave with facts. They leave carrying those stories with them. And to me, that is the very definition of remembrance. It's active, it's alive, and it's not just passive history.
Well, that's a fair point. And the economic impact is undeniable. But we have to look at how we're doing this. There's a slippery slope between keeping history alive and turning it into a spectacle. When you start seeing D-Day theme escape rooms, guided tour where people fake storm the beach for amusement, or influencer chasing like by posing next to graves, something is wrong. And you have to ask, at what point does a memorial just become a theme park?
Sure, the fact that influencers use these sites as backdrops for content is concerning, but let's look at the baseline reality. Normandy isn't Paris, and our rural regions need a heartbeat to survive. Look at Sainte-Mère-Église or Bayeux. They thrive because people come to visit. And this isn't just an abstract industry, it's real jobs for real people. The local hotels, the family-owned restaurants, the independent guides. Without this support, these towns would face a painful economic cut.
True, but at what cost to the dignity of the site? That brings me to my second point. The voices that matter most are disappearing. The last veterans are almost all gone. So who speak for them now? Is it the tour operators? The souvenir sellers? It feels deeply uncomfortable to see a site of immense trauma reduced to a must-see checklist on a travel app. We're replacing live testimony with a sales pitch.
I get that, but there's a third angle here, and that's accessibility. Not everyone wants to plow through hundreds of pages of dry historical text. But when you're standing at Pont de Hoc with the wind hitting your face, looking at the cratered landscape, it suddenly clicks. You understand the scale of it. And tourism makes history a physical experience. It gives you an emotional gateway you'd never find by simply staring at a whiteboard.
but does that accessibility actually serve the community? We often treat Normandy like a permanent exhibition, a backdrop for other people's emotion and photos. But people actually live here. Many residents feel their home has been turned into a museum without their input. We talk a lot about the tourist experience, but we don't talk nearly enough about the people who have to live in the middle of a 24/7 open-air museum.
Okay, so before we finish, we said we wouldn't agree, and we don't. But here's what we do agree on. It's the intent that matters. So if you visit Normandy to learn, to reflect, and to respect, that's meaningful. But if you're just consuming without giving it a second thought, that's a problem.
Okay, to sum up, D-Day tourism is not inherently wrong, but it needs ethical guardrails, regulation and commercial exploitation near memorial sites, education built into every visit, and silence, real silence, at the place that deserve it.
So I'd say if you'd ever visit Normandy, and we think you absolutely should, ask yourself why you're going, and let that answer guide how you behave when you get there.
Thanks, Anthonin. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks you all for tuning into WRNC. We are leaving this conversation open because history never truly closes. If you have already been to Normandy, how did you experience your visit? What did it feel like to you? And until next time.